Welcome to Giggle vs. the Maelstrom Arena, Round 9, the Theater of Despair. This is the final round. There's a whole bunch of different mechanics that come into play in this round, so I'll try to touch on them as they show up. The first one are these white ghost things that you see floating around the arena. They're not actually foes, in that they don't have hit points and they don't damage you. What they will do is inflict a snare on you and reduce your movement speed if you bump into them. And that can be really annoying because this is another arena where you want to stay mobile and there's places you need to be at certain times. The foes in this arena are mostly Dremora. So if you have the Fighter's Guild abilities that do extra damage to Daedra or Undead, they work nicely here. The first round has a bunch of just regular mobs. The Crematorial Guard isn't particularly tough in normal mode. He only had 35,000 hit points, but his Flame Breath does do noticeable damage, so you want to make sure to stay out of that. First round is real short, as you can see. Round 2 brings on some more regular mobs. You've got a healer to deal with there. Archers are now in the mix. That move that he's doing there, holding the bow above his head, that's taking aim, and that's the one that does a whole lot of damage. So you want to make sure to kill him or interrupt him. There's a lot of options, but basically don't let him get that off. The other thing you start seeing is Nightblade style Dremora. So they'll have the Nightblade leap attack, some of them have agony, and some of them have the Nightblade ultimate that will stun you and drain health from you. So you get more Crematorial Guards. If you don't like fire damage, you're not going to like them.
Isn't this great?
Overlapping
You
with,
know you love it.
Archers. You just saw a golden ghost on the screen, and you'll see more of them. Those are important. If you can capture 3 of the golden ghosts, you get an ability, a synergy ability basically, that allows you to stun everything in the arena for a brief period of time, which is really helpful. So if you can, you want to pick those up. I believe if the mobs capture the golden ghost, they get a buff. Now here's the Ogre. He's the boss for this round, for this mini round, and their trick is that healing channel that they do. They can bring them right back up to full health. It is interruptible, so it's useful to have either a ranged interrupt or be able to get into melee and stop that. It's not too bad if you can't, don't let yourself die to do it. Worst case, you basically wind up fighting the same ogre twice. You beat it almost to death, it'll start the channel, and then you just got to beat him to death again. So now you've got the Crematorial Guards being backed up by healers, and that makes for a less than fun fight. That's the Nightblade ultimate move that I was talking about, taking aim again. So you just want to be careful to pay attention to what the mobs are doing and stop them from doing that. It's an AoE heal on the part of the healer there. And here's our boss for the mini round. He has a couple of moves. Again, mostly flame-based, but he's got the Dragonite Chain, Flame Breath, and BB AoE. Easy to get out of all that. 138,000 hit points is decent for a mini-boss, but he's not that hard to get through. His attacks aren't insta-kills, so you don't have to worry about that. You do need to be concerned as the magma on the outside gets spit in. It won't insta-kill you or anything. It can just add more damage that you don't want to have to deal with. And it is reasonably easy to stay away from it. The magma travels slowly. You just have to be paying attention to the red circles on the ground. In the distance, you could just see the ogre healing himself up. Like I said, you wind up fighting him twice. It's not a big deal. And he's the boss. He's the trigger for the next round. Him and the Crematorial Guard. So take those guys down.
Isn't this great?
You see, he's spitting flame, but it doesn't do that much damage. In normal mode, it's not too hard to survive some of this stuff if you keep your head about you. You just want to watch for the instant kill effects, and you want to watch for anything where people are putting more damage into you than they normally would be able to. Like if they have a channel going, or if they're putting AoEs on the ground, or if there's just a lot of them spawning at once. Those are the things that usually kill you. The other things are like the archers with take aim, and usually that's just because it does a lot of damage all at one time and can hit when other damage is hitting as well. Talons from the Dremora over there. So here's another mechanic. If you see the Dremora that's channeling into the center of the circle, what they're trying to do, what that Dremora is trying to do, is summon a giant flaming bone colossus. And you see another one coming down to do the same thing. You really want to stop that from happening. It's certainly possible to beat the bone colossus, but it's just so much extra work and so much harder. It's much simpler if you just pay attention to the Dremora that creep up on the circle, like the guy on the right there, and kill them as soon as they show up. Make them a priority over everything else in the round, because if they get that flaming bone colossus loose, things get much harder. But fortunately, as you can see, they walk pretty slowly towards the circle. They only have 22,000 health, so as mobs in this level go, they're on the weak side. Obviously not like one-hit kills, at least not at the DPS that Giggle's putting out. And there, I use the Spectral Explosion, which stuns everything in the level. Use it to kill the Summoner, and then go after the Ogre. So that's kind of the ideal use of it. He's trying to heal, interrupt that. So now he's not healing, he took extra damage from the bash, and he was stunned for a while. That was kind of the perfect move there. In less perfect moves, you may note my hit points are down at 13,000 and my magic is at 26 because I'm still not using food. So I don't know what I was thinking or not thinking here. This isn't... Not using food doesn't make it hard mode, not using food makes it stupid mode. The other thing I'm not doing is I'm not using the power-ups, which is again just stupid mode in regular. So here we have the Ash Titan. Surprise, dragon out of nowhere. He looks kind of badass, but his bark's worse than his bite in a sense. That's a very flashy looking maneuver he just did, but you know, it didn't really take that much of my hit points off. I got clipped by one of the flame waves, and I survived. His fire spit is doing like 7% of my hit points, and bear in mind at 13,000 I have really low hit points for a VR16. Giggle's now walking around usually with 20 to 22,000, and see, that's the problem with having low hit points. So you can see taking aim hit for 12,600. I have 13,000, and there were just a bunch of other 2,000 hit point attacks that came in right around then. If I'd had the 22,000 that I run around with sometimes currently, that would have been about half my health. I probably could have shrugged it off. So do pay attention to your build. Part of Maelstrom Arena is you need to be survivable. You need to be able to take some damage. If you're a total glass cannon, which I guess being dumb and not using food is somewhat simulating, you may run into problems with getting hit with more than you can take. Here, I'm kind of considering what I want to do. I'm thinking of switching out my abilities, and I decided to put Shadow Image in place of Reaper's Mark. I'm trying to think back to why I chose to do that. Shadow Image does give me another sort of autonomous attacker that I can put on the dragon. I think my thinking was, even while I was dodging his flames, the Shadow Image could be putting some damage in. And it also reduces his damage, which is nicer. If I kind of noticed the death log, I think I would have realized that the Shadow Image wouldn't have helped against that, because I wouldn't have had the Shadow Image targeted at an archer. I'd have him targeted at the Ash Titan here. So, in retrospect, probably a better move would have been a ranged interrupt. The crushing shock, say, from the destruction staff line. I was carrying a destruction staff at the moment. There's a lot of other choices, and that's part of doing Maelstrom Arena as well, is when you die, think about what build options you have, or think about what powers you have, and if you want to change out any of them, try something different, try a different tactic. Like I said, I don't know that the shadow image power was all that useful, but it was worth the attempt just to see. You can read guides, you can have other people's builds that you try, but until you really test it out yourself and get a sense for how to use it, you may not be getting the most out of your powers. And it's good to think of the situations you're in too. Obviously here I'm taking a lot of ranged fire damage, but I've got other mobs to deal with too. I don't seem to be having too much trouble with my Magicka, which is good. But part of that's because I am using the Resto Staff heavy attacks to build it back up. Again, for a Nightblade like Giggle, where she's partially healing focused, as long as she has Magicka and access to Healing Ward, and there aren't one-shot kills coming in, she has a decent chance of just out-sustaining whatever she's fighting. Those are a lot of ifs, though. There's plenty of places that have more damage than you can keep up with, or just instant kills that the only unit can't react to. So to care of the Ogrim, the Ash Titan was easy once you got down into execute range, and that brings us to the actual final boss. This guy, Sulkin, has some unique things of his own. That little skull that he builds up to, if you don't dodge, it does a big knockback on you and can push you into the lava. He also has a channel that you can interrupt. While you're fighting him, you're going to be fighting a lot of other things. There you see the skull hit me and knock me back almost into the lava. The channel that he does is interruptible, so that's a reason to have Crushing Shock or something like it. And otherwise he's just throwing out these little death bolts at you. So there I summoned a shadow image on him. That's helping a little bit. You can interrupt the channel, which is ideal. He's got a PB AoE that you want to stay away from. There comes another skull. Does it with a dodge roll. And now what he's doing is once you get him below 70%, he goes upstairs, meaning he's above. And you see the clan fear that comes. You have to defeat them near a portal. That activates it. You can use the portal, which pushes you up on top of the arena. And now you have to destroy these crystals. However, his little knockback skulls can knock you back down to the bottom level, in which case you have to wait for another clan fear to show up, beat it again, so it activates the portal, and go back up. And you got to destroy 3 of these crystals.
A telling blow.
Sulkin will try to knock you off. He'll throw fireballs at you. And he'll also build up this large AoE storm effect. Now if you hide behind this rotating rock barrier, when the AoE blasts off, it'll destroy the barrier but leave you there. So you won't take damage, you won't get knocked off by the AoE, and that'll give you a little bit more time to work on the crystals. It's not that big a deal getting knocked off. It's easy enough to take out the clan fears. It just slows you down. And if you're at low health and you fall into the lava, you're in trouble. You'll be starting it over. The crystals themselves have 44,000 hit points, so they're not fragile.
That just makes me even angrier.
But they're not that hard to take out either. And I'm making this look harder than it is in a sense. As long as you stay closer to the inner side of the ring, you don't get knocked off so much. So that can make it a lot easier. I think I've fallen off like 5 times now. And in optimal play, you won't fall off at all. Almost fell off again. You want to ideally stay near that rock structure, but if you can take the third crystal off, that time I did get knocked into the lava. See, it's doing 633 per tick, about a tick every half second.
Watch as I absorb all the power I need.
So you just get out and you cleanse it and you're okay. Stop his channel because it's annoying. He got the Golden Ghost. Like I said, I think that might buff him some. It doesn't make him invulnerable, so you can still keep attacking him. And I think at this point, there's not enough time to get the Golden Ghost. Now, the summoners are back, so basically there's a lot of sort of stages to fighting this guy. The summoners are back, and you don't want them to summon the Bone Colossus, because Bone Colossus plus Crematorial Guard plus him together can get really overwhelming. Basically, there can just wind up being fire everywhere. So as long as you can avoid that, you're in pretty good shape. You can see there's another summoner creeping down towards the circle. And I see him, and it's worth prioritizing the summoners even over the main boss there. You've got time to kill him. There's no rush. You just want to make sure that you're not letting things get significantly worse.
Enough! You try my patience. Take this.
He's down to 11%, which means it's execute time. 5%, execute 2%, execute, and dead. And that is how you win Maelstrom Arena. This final chest on Veteran mode offers special rewards in terms of weapons. I don't believe those exist on normal mode, or at least I've never gotten them. So it's just more regular loot. But you do get titles, achievements if you haven't already finished it. So it's kind of a good feeling just to wrap everything up. At the end, you can go talk to Fanui Hannigan and finish off the quest. I will leave that out of the video so that you can see all the text fresh when you run it. But otherwise, best of luck with running Maelstrom Arena on your own, and I look forward to hearing how you do.